Let's do it, y'all. Coach dealing with these allergies. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. What's up? I see you, Pearson. We live. YouTube, Facebook, IG. Let's do it. Let's talk it up. I'm on with my boy. Let me see. Let me get him on here. Come on, Pearson. Ask for that invite while we wait for some folks to join us, man. Here we go. Let's get on, big dog. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me get some things set up on my TV. What's up, man? What's up, big dog?
Hey, how you doing? Good.
Yeah, man. I know it's been a little minute, man. We got to get on here, man. Help wake these boys up, man. Help them realize what time it is with this recruiting, man. The brutal truths is what I call this about college sports recruiting. You know, the brutal truth. You know.
They don't know.
Yep. They don't know what they don't know. But we gonna
educate them on some game.
Yeah, but we gonna help them. You know.
We gonna help them.
Yeah, you know, I want to definitely get you on here for sure, because you just had your couple of trial camps. I've had one where I had no shows, but as I shared with you, and you know as well, as I was talking to the coach, you got a lot of kids that's still up in the air. Some kids still being dangled, you know, dangling carrots, because the coach even told me he has a kid here, the local high school where he coaches, that still has not committed, and he has D1 offers, FBS and FC offers, and he don't know why the kid has not committed. And the only thing he can think of is maybe he's using that NIL negotiating, you know, and that's another thing we need to just touch on too, with some of these people that are representing kids that may not even really know the game that well. And some people, they know negotiating. I understand that, you know, they might, but in many cases they don't. It's just maybe a family friend, or they know another ball player. And some of these kids don't realize they're getting, lack of a better term, raped with high, you know, fees. They don't realize that an agent in the NFL only gets 3%. Some now when those guys, and this is something they teach you even in the NFL, you know, and I know this, you know, from having an opportunity, but as well as my son recently, you know as well, been playing NFL, that they even educate these guys, you know, and they stay on top of their agents in the league, right? That when you see these guys signing these hundreds of millions of dollars for contracts, that's, you know, cause free agency happening right now with NFL, they are, you know, they tell these guys, you don't have to do 3%. Negotiate down to 1 or 2% or 1.5% or 2.5%. And some of these agents know if they want to keep these guys that's making these high salaries that they're blessed to represent, they're gonna come off that 3%. What some of these guys don't realize, that when these agents come after you in college, you know, before NIL and all this other stuff became legal, right? You know, getting paid because people got paid under the table, right? Some of these kids don't realize that when these agents give them cars, give them certain things while they're still in college, right? Now we know it's against the NCAA rule, but it happens, and they know it happens, right? Sometimes it may be hard to do, because sometimes these agents, you know, they got smart where they would hire a kid on campus and pay a kid to be a runner for them to get money to an athlete that they want to represent, and tell that college kid, that college student who just got paid $100 to go give so and so player $500 or $1,000 and say, hey, this is from agent so and so, you know, so the agent can like not be the one seen giving them the money. You know, they have these runners. I mean, you know, that's old school. You know what I mean? That's old school stuff. Back in the day, how these agents would use a college student who needs some money and say, hey man, hey, they can just come walk on campus and say, hey, you know, you familiar with any of the football players? How about player such and such, the big name guy? Like, hey, you want a job? You want to make a quick $200, $300? all right, I need you to get this money to such and such player, and be sure you get it to him, and you let him know,
Right.
here's my business card. Make sure you let him know you work for me. You know, I mean, all these old stories, man. We know back in the day when we grew up with players getting paid money, from an agent slipping money and things like that. But they don't realize those agents, man, dotted I's and crossed their T's. They remember who I gave and how much I gave money to a kid. Because sometimes they would come back and try to scare a kid if he tried to go to another agent. And you're like, oh, well, I'm going to tell. Because I had this happen to one or two of my homeboys that I played with, where they got threatened by agents saying, because they know some of these kids don't know the rules. Hey, well, we're going to tell the school. And well, if you do that, dumb, you're gonna lose your license to be an agent. A lot of people don't remember what's the running back at USC that they finally gave back his Heisman after they approved.
Reggie Bush.
Yeah, Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush is one of those examples where an agent tried to run that game because he was switching agents. And you hear this around the circles of the NFL of guys that I know. But they try to scare guys because they know some of these kids don't know the rules. And a lot of these kids don't realize it's in your agent contract. Now, this means after you graduate or after your official time of playing playing college football is over, an agent can do whatever you want to do for you once your eligibility is up and the season ends, whether you go to a bowl game, playoff, whatever. Once your season ends, an agent can do whatever he want to do for you if you sign with him. He can start giving you money and doing stuff like that, giving you an allowance and all this other stuff, and the agents do that kind of stuff. But we know this stuff happens before their eligibility ends. They've been given certain things by agents, and the agent always keep tally of what he gave. So when he's done doing that, they're like, "Wait, man, I thought I was only paying back 3%." But in your contract, that agent will now. This is where the kids got to educate themselves, because in actuality, if you came back and say, "No, man, that money, some of that stuff you gave me, I was in college, so don't be charging me," because what happens is it says in the contract, your agent and player contract, when you get somebody to represent you, that you have to pay back your agent for different things that he's done for you, or you negotiate and work it out. Some agents now, it's a loan, right? And some of these kids want to that's why you hear some players like, "Oh man, I don't trust agents." No, you don't trust that agent that you signed with, because I know some good ones like my homeboy that some of these kids don't realize. Oh man, and my homeboy get calls from guys he tried to represent wanting some help. Now it's like, bro, I can't help you. You don't, you ain't. I'm not representing you. You stuck. Hey, but it's like, that's why, like we saying with this recruiting, man, the brutal truth, like we said about this stuff. Some of these guys just gotta wake up, man, and realize.
I think a lot of these kids now, Coach.
Yeah.
They feel like they're entitled, and they did nothing.
They do. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Not yet.
I mean,
yeah.
Man, I'm talking to kids, and I'm on X, and I'm messaging back and forth.
Yep.
And these kids, man, you talking about the egos, man. We
Yeah.
got some real. I mean, even the younger kids, sophomores and juniors, saying, "Coach, offer me, coach. You need to offer me." I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even a senior.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. Just I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know, because back when we came through the system, man, we were just happy to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
For someone to notice us, for someone to give us a call.
Man, we'd have ran through a wall to get an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And now it seems like, it's like they expect it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up, just because, right now we are doing active trials right now, right?
Yeah.
Trials, which in reality, they're really not trials, but they're workouts. Because we want to see where you at.
Right.
We
Yeah.
want to see where you stack up.
And evaluate you like you did.
We can evaluate you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we do. And then, like we charge $100, right?
Or $80 if they do it online, $100 if they do it late.
Early and sign up early,
Yeah.
$80. But if you show up day of, it's $100.
Yeah.
And
it's still not a lot of money. Yeah.
But the thing is, yes, that's that's very inexpensive for us to do what we do with you. One, we work you out, we go through a complete workout with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do after that workout, and we go through like the standard NFL combine stuff,
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So everything that you should know, every drill that you should master for every level, D1, NFL, you know what I'm saying? The exact same things. That's what we do, right? And then at the end of that, we check your skill level, and we do routes and we do all type of field work stuff, and then we combine an assessment for you. And I'll tell you, the last one I did, I think it was 20 pages long. Yeah. An assessment of how you stack up with everybody in your age group, everybody in your size and weight class, what level you should be at. Yeah. At a D1 level, at a D2 level, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Compared to even NFL standards, right? Right. Yeah. So, and also what we do and always put in there's a plan of progress for you as well. Yeah. So I'm not just going to say, hey, this is the way you've checked out. But I'm going to put a plan in there how you can get better. Yeah. These are the things that you need to do to help you get better. And not even just working out, but how to eat. Right. How much rest you need. You know what I'm saying? Dietary plans. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And stuff that you need to be putting in your body to help you just fuel yourself in order so you can get the best out of your workouts. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And a time frame as well. Yeah. Because we officially, August 1st is our start date for the league. So officially by August 1st. So I'll put together a plan for you. Right. From the day you leave me from that workout until up to August 1st. To help you be exactly where you need to be and when you need to be and how you need to be when you report into camp. Right. And like, I don't know if you're losing me. No, I'm not losing. No, I'm not. I froze up. Okay, hold on. Yeah. No, I'm here. Okay. But I here, like you said, there's an entitlement, because of we're in the social media age of selfies, look at me, blah blah blah, and so it's some of our own fault, like as parents and coaches, and we have to do our best, and a lot of coaches and parents do, and there are some that do their best, and a lot of these kids, they, their peers, they feed off each other, and sometimes you may think you are more than what you are, and you're not really there yet. And even the ones that are there, you still gonna have a wake up call when you get there. When you get to college, you're gonna have a wake up call. I mean, that's just reality. You're gonna meet people that's gonna catch up with you where you are, and you're gonna really have to have put preparation. Yeah. You will be humble. Oh, you're gonna be humble. No matter how good you think you are, or you may be the number one kid in your high school, in your district, whatever. But when it all is said and done, when you get to that next level, you got 60 to 100 kids who are number one in their school and in their area as well. Right, and that's why we saying this. Yeah, that's why we saying these are some of the brutal truths, because there are things you have to do on and off the field. There's things that you have to do. And like you said, you talked about the $100. I'm gonna give you an example. Talking to my homeboy that's an agent, that's an NFL agent, dealing with a kid out of a major Division I school. He was in the starting rotation, doing well, got an ACL injury, and then as he was making his way back, as he getting in the rotation, got a lot of footage, but come around for that senior year, after that ACL injury, trying to get back, he didn't. What happened was he didn't work himself back up into that starting rotation again, because why?
They know you're a senior now, and you just came off an ACL injury. They're trying to build for the future because you're about to leave. You know, and it's sad that happens to some guys sometimes, and it just depends on, what system you're in and what coach you're in, and you hear all these great stories about these coaches, how I love my player, this and that. But there's some players you ain't loving on. And some of y'all gotta have some thick skin, and because you ain't been, and that's that humbling period that came on this young man. But he had 150 plays on special teams, plus plays, but only 15 to 20 plays on defense. D lineman, and he was the man. He was one of the top D linemen on the team, and probably was on his way to be, to the NFL. So now he's trying to get, still reaching out to my boy, like, hey man, is anything happening? Like he told him, man, it's like, you don't have any video footage for me with you playing in that rotation like you were before the injury, right? After the injury, we don't have a whole lot of plays. We got a whole lot of special team plays, But
and the thing is, though, Coach Smith, too, as well. If you notice, like all those coaches who are recruiting, all those schools that are recruiting, they're asking for film. They're asking for some video of film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is very, very important.
Right. But here,
it's not the be all tell all.
Right. But
they still have to see you in person.
Right.
Eyes on.
Right. Here's the thing about what we talked about. Why I was bringing up this story about the young man, where he's trying to get into the CFL and play. My brother said, you can go to CFL and try that route to get yourself back an opportunity, because he did get in camp. So he did get in camp, NFL camp somewhere, and didn't make it. Didn't stay on. But he got into camp because former coach made it became an NFL coach, and that coach, and that happens. When you come from certain schools and you got a coach that got a job opportunity, you can get opportunity. Don't necessarily mean you're gonna make the team. But he did get into camp, an NFL camp. Just didn't make the team, and and still was working his way back after that ACL injury. He may be at the point right now he's more confident and may be better, but you don't have the plays, right? You don't have the snaps to show you going up against somebody. It's just special teams. Well, my buddy told me, he said, look, you have to pay $100 in Canada for even though they might say they want to sign you, they still gonna require you to pay $100 to come work out. Because see, right now, what's happening right now, what we just had the combine for the NFL. Right now, the month of March, you have the NFL Pro Days for all the colleges and universities across the country that my buddy is traveling to, several. So he's like, hey, this guy's been out for a couple of years. He's like, look, CFL still gonna require you to pay $100.
Yep.
So they think just no. Even this the CFL. This ain't even the NFL. But you're gonna have to pay $100. You're gonna have to pay $100 to go try out to work out for all the CFL teams or whatever that's gonna show up, because they're right now they're in the process of finding guys that they think that they know may not get the NFL, or if they do get an NFL and don't make it, they got first dibs, on said player, But they gonna make you. But he's like, hey, well, I like to go work out for a team. He said, look, you're gonna have to go pay. You're gonna have to pay this $100. You're gonna have to pay this $100.
But that's standard anyway.
Yeah.
That's standard anyway.
Well, that's my point. That's my point.
When we were going through the college, they had CFL trials all over the country, but you could try out as many times as you like.
Yeah. Well, you remember
you had to pay that fee.
Right. You remember me and you went from Maryland to Alabama. Yeah. Remember we drove?
Yep, absolutely.
And now they were requiring payment, but remember, I got mine waived because Jack Pardee was the head coach for the Oilers when I was with the Oilers, and he remembered who I was.
Oh yeah.
So because I had that NFL experience, I ain't have to pay that $100. Because he got to a point where I said, look, I done paid so much. I'm like, man, I ain't paying no more of this money, man. I'll start telling people, look, I've been in NFL training camp. So you ain't just getting somebody. I had a knee sprain. I ain't have no surgery or anything, but I had a knee sprain. But so so because if you had surgery, it's a different thing, whatever you had that. But I'm like, no. So I started telling some of these teams, like, man, no, I ain't paying $100. Man, I'm an NFL training camp guy. You ain't getting nobody some junk. You ain't getting somebody that think he can play. I was in an NFL training camp. I'm not gonna keep paying y'all $100, but be rest assured, when I get there, I'm gonna show you what time it is. And I started talking. I'm gonna show you now. I paid a lot of money doing stuff like that, going to Kansas. You and I, like I said, we drove from Maryland to Alabama, Birmingham.
And I remember too, driving,
yeah,
getting gas money, hotel money.
We working full-time jobs and training, and still, but like you said, your point is, like you said, these some brutal truths of about recruiting, and like you said, some of these kids feel entitled, and they're going to have to learn sooner or later, and it's better to learn it sooner than later.
Yes.
And I shared one time on my live about the time I got my opportunity to try for the Oilers. Ernest Givens had put a word in for me. And he knew what I can do because I was, I would train with him and my brother and a bunch of other guys back home. So, he knew what time, and I knew if I would have got an invite when we were coming out of Morningside to the NFL Combine, I would have ate that stuff up. I would have ate it up.
You know what? That's the one thing that showed me, because I was so big on back in high school and in college. I was so big on the big schools.
Yeah.
And if you got into big schools, then you could really play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that I beat out in those camps.
Yeah, you know that.
From D1 schools.
Yeah, it's the politics.
And I'm looking, I'm like, man, you went to a D1 school and you play like that?
Yeah.
I'm just like, how in the world? You know what I'm saying? So then that brother told me that, you know what, if I would have went the D1 route, if I would have went there, it didn't have the hiccups and the issues with, with discipline and just not being in that frame of mind to, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? If I would have been there, man, unbelievable.
But like you said, going to those things, man, just help you realize. But here's the thing though, preparation.
Yes.
Preparation, right? When preparation meets opportunity.
Yes.
Right? And so my preparation that I knew I was putting in, and I knew I wasn't going to make my homeboy who gave me put a word in, like I got to show up. And I remember, like I said, I had several guys that were there that were already in the NFL working out with me. And the one guy that was there, I remember he was LSU running back, like a couple of years ahead of us, 2-3 years ahead of us. And I remember him; he was all-purpose running back out of LSU, and I think he was with Green Bay or Buffalo, and his 3-year contract was up, 3 years were up, and he was testing the market or whatever. And so he was there working out along with this other guy. I can't remember who the other guy was right now, but I just remember him because I liked how he played ball when he was at LSU. Right. And the brother was good. And he still, and he ended up going back to wherever he was. He ended up signing back to the team he was originally on, but you got to play that game, and test that market. But we were there at the Oilers, and it was Kevin Gilbride, the OC, Mr. Holloway, the GM, and Jack Pardee, the head coach. And he said to me, he said, "Boy, I knew you." He said, "Boy, I knew you had to run in time because the way they looked at the watch and looked back down there at you and looked at their watch and they looked at each other, and they made you run it again, but they didn't make us run it again. They made you run it again."
I was the same way.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
I ran a 40 like 4 different times.
Yeah.
Because
they weren't sure. They
figure out where.
Yeah.
Wait, he can't be running that fast.
And you had. Right, and you at Morningside College, they'd be like Morningside College, you D2, like
what's going on?
How you like? I had coaches ask me that stuff. Yeah, but he was saying, he's like, man, and he said, I saw when they made you run it again, and they did the same thing. Like he said, oh, I knew. He said, oh man, you must, because they didn't tell you what your time was. I found out later what my time was. 4:29, 4:3, and I found that out when they invited me to come back to sign my contract, when they were like sealing the deal to invite me to come to training camp, and I sign the contract. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have no agent. And see, here's the other thing and that's why it's good for you sometimes to have an agent, because
we didn't have access to that.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the league don't necessarily take you serious if you don't have some sort of representation, because now they know if you.
My whole thing was, without having anybody to inform me or educate me on it, I was thinking, why would I give somebody else my money when I can do it myself?
Yeah, and but you really can't do it yourself. You need, I know, you need the agent, but they don't. But they don't take you, because they're part of the NFL family, because they're certified by the NFL. So they don't take you as serious if they don't think if an agent is not representing you.
And they have the contacts and the connections.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what, they work with the teams.
Yeah. But sometimes a player can elevate that too much and think the agent is getting them the opportunity, when really it's you that's giving the opportunity. You're giving that agent opportunity. Trust me. It's more about you than it is that agent. And yes, that agent does have contacts, because I'm gonna tell you, like Nick Saban, his agent represent a lot of the Alabama players. Trust me.
Oh, yes, they did. I know they
did. His agent represent a lot of the Alabama players. So, but that's the thing where, these guys got to understand, man, you have to prepare on and off the field. You have to prepare relationships, how you conduct yourself, all that stuff,
And I'll tell you one thing too, man, it's the worst feeling. And when you're so much better, but because you failed to prepare for that moment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when it was time to turn that switch on, when you flip the switch, it didn't come on.
Yeah. And I tell you, after my time with trying out with the Oilers and being in training camp and being there up until the last cut, and guys surprised, like, Smith, they cut you, Smith? Like, man, you one of the best receivers we had in training camp, and one of the fastest. Guys be tripping, and I'm talking about veteran guys. But then before Mark Dominic became the GM for the Bucks, he was a scout that scouted me. I used to wear down knocking on his door, boy, going to one Buck place to get Mark Dominic to try me out, to work me out. And he would always be like, because my end was I was in training camp. So that helped, because I was in training camp, in the NFL training camp before. So they, because I had that on my resume, it allowed me to get a conversation with Mark Dominic, and he was kind of a newer scout at the time, just coming in, and lo and behold, he becomes the GM years down the road, of the Bucks. But I knew the guy firsthand. We still keep in contact with each other, DMing on Twitter and different things like that, because my buddy Blair is an agent. But yeah, man, I used to wear down his door, but I knew because of my preparation. It wasn't because, I'm like, no, man, you need to work me out. It wasn't a thing where I wasn't humble. I just knew what I had, what I brought to the table. I knew how I prepared. And 2 years in a row, when he was telling me no, I still got to work out in front of Tony Dungy, almost got signed, because my preparation. Because as a scout, he can't look bad when he brings somebody in them doors in front of the GM and the coach. You can't make them look bad, because if you make a scout look bad, it's done. It's done. It's over, right? Because now his name is looking bad, that he don't know how to find good talent as a scout. He just blackballed you. Yeah, so you better make sure you can back up.
That's right.
You can back up and cash in them notes that you've been writing about how well you can play. And so that's why it's important, man, to do all you can to get some good video. And that's why NJCP with some of these kids, whatever the reason why you didn't get recruited, whatever the reason may be, you didn't get the offer. And a lot of these kids didn't get it because, for one, your preparation of going to a college football camp, you didn't do it. Like I said, I hear some of this sometimes, where some of these kids didn't go to camp. But then if you do go to a camp, did you shine? Was your preparation before going to that camp, or did you just figure I can just jump out there and do whatever and make an impression? No, man. When you're in middle school, something like that, middle school age, you're just trying to figure things out. That's totally different. But once you hit them high school years, and you go to some camps, and it's time that you realize, hey, I might be pretty good at this thing, right? You need, and your parents, you got to understand this, and thankfully, man, I never had to stay on my oldest son about training and working out. You know what I mean? That he loved it, and you gotta love it. That's why I call it love the game 24/7. Right? Right. It don't mean you gotta like everything about it, but you still love the game. I didn't like everything about football, right? There were some practices I didn't like or care to do, you know.
But you know what? The thing is you know what? You soul search too.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you,
soul searching. Yeah.
First time I got in that NFL, that first practice.
Yeah.
And when I got it, I hadn't made the team, but I was like close.
Yeah.
But man, when I first got on that field with all those guys out there, man, big, fast, strong.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I had a second thought. Man, do I really want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because
it
had went from a level of, you know, working out and, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, going out there and having fun and playing to, this is a serious job.
I just let her out.
This is, you have to change your entire lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
The way you know what I'm saying? I mean, the way you approach everything now, because you have to be at the very, very top level of condition, of eating right, of, you know, living right, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that even takes it to the next level notch, because to play at that level, you got to put in the work.
Yeah, you got to prepare. You have to prepare, man, because these guys, this is life, man. This is multi hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars of opportunity. And guys, when they realize they get their foot in that door, man, they are preparing. Do you have some guys that get a little comfortable? Yeah, but not most. Most of them, we are the best players in the world. Even if you don't make it, for you to get the opportunity, you're still considered one of the best in the world because you got the opportunity. And they're not just letting anybody come through that door, you know.
And that's why they say the NFL is not for long.
Yeah.
Because when people get in there, when they understand that they have to make a sacrifice in order to stay in that league.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But are you willing? Is it in you to, you know, to will yourself and prepare yourself?
Well, that's NFL. It's even for college. Even though there's a lot of colleges now, there's a lot of colleges. Like we talking about the recruiting part, man. It's the same thing. But that's why you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing to help you with recruiting. And parents, you know, like I said, we got to this NIL. Some of these people are paying crazy, percentages to so-called agents. They're not agents because there's no certification that you need to represent. The kid can have anybody represent him that they trust. Anybody. Anybody. And they got these GMs now in college. They call them GMs because, the NCAA got a lot of stuff they need. I ain't gonna say a lot of stuff. They got a few things they need to work out, but all this NIL and all this other stuff that's going on. Now, you can play and transfer, which to me, it should have always been like that to me, that I may go somewhere that don't work out, or a new head coach come in and he didn't recruit me. They got they got rid of a lot of red tape of a player trying to get out of a bad situation where where they took off a lot of that stuff, which is I think is very helpful. But all this came about now. The NIL is happening. If they'd have done that back in our day, it'd have been a different, because back in our day, if you went up or down the level, you didn't have to sit out. But if you stayed lateral, if you made a lateral movement, if you went from a D2 to a D2 or a D1 to a D1, you had to sit out. Now I thought that was pretty good when you went up or down a level that you could play right away, or take a red shirt. But
it made it kind of, what I'm saying, it made people like really think about, if you really need to make the move or not, or are you going to be able to, figure it out and stay on board. So,
And and like you said, some guys, man, in high school, some of that came easy. Some of those stats that you have and your ability that you had may have come easy because you were just that good compared to guys that you were around in whatever town or city you grew up in, whether it was Miami or Laurinburg, North Carolina,
that's right.
or Washington State or LA or Texas somewhere, or, doesn't matter. If you were the man and some things came easier for you, I would say I know nothing came easy for me growing up, being a smaller guy, not being 6 feet, You know, I was every bit of like, 5'8" at the most, coming out of high school as an all-purpose running back. So like I said, my thing was, man, I'm gonna outwork you in my preparation with my speed and quickness and my ability to catch the ball and run the ball, read defenses. You know what I'm saying? Read defenses, know how to have my keys in the backfield that I'm making reads before that ball snap about where I want to make my cut on this trap that we're about to run, or this sweep that I'm about to run. I'm looking at when I'm gonna put my foot in the ground. I'm even gauging that when I get this tall sweep, how fast I'm gonna run, or I'm gonna make it look like I'm running fast. So guys just balls to the wall, get to the edge and try to stop me, and I'm just setting you up to put my foot in the ground and cut back across the grain and get vertical at the same time. That's all I'm doing, and I'm just trying to find that hole, that gap, because like Gail Sayers used to say, all I need is this. Gail Sayers said, all I need is this. I forget what they call them, lightning, whatever they call it, the galloping ghost, or whatever they used to call Gail Sayers. And I remember my dad used to have me watch those highlights of Gail Sayers and Walter Payton. And I remember Gail Sayers, man, used to be right in camp. All I need is an inch. And I remember the offensive lineman in that highlight said, man, I thought I saw eyes in the back of that guy's head, man. He saw me coming and he made that cut. I was get ready to just come down on Gail Sayers, and all of a sudden I could have sworn I saw some eyes turn around and look at me. He made a cut and got away, but those are little crazy stories that you hear about, the guys back in the day. And I remember as a kid, man, that was like, oh man, I'm gonna run that ball like Gail Sayers, Walter Payton, and Tony Dorsett all in one. You know what I mean? And I know there's some homeboys that I play ball with would tell you, hey, Lil Smitty was all that, and I'm talking about, hey, preparation, man. I'm gonna outdo you. I'm gonna outdo you every time when it comes to preparation in the weight room, studying my plays, knowing who the key guys were at linebacker and D line and DB, and I'm like, okay, all right. And my other thought was, oh man, who we playing that's getting heavily recruited? I want to know who's getting heavily recruited, because I got to outshine, because we had some good running. We had some, just like, we had some good ball players, man, that I know was getting guys that were much bigger than I were, because I remember, playing a game against this one school. I think it was Largo Packers we were playing. And I know they had some pretty good players that were getting recruited by D1 schools, especially the one running back. But look here, our defense played good. The running back had a decent game, but I had like 200 yards, bro, and like 3 touchdowns. I ran all over them cats. I was making a point that I got to make sure these guys are good. These guys are really good. I got to match up with these guys, and they got sized over me, But what am I going to do to make sure I stand out? So when somebody's watching this game that we just played, they might say, "Well, who is that kid on the other side of the ball that ran all over y'all?" That we, I need to find out. I need to go down to Lakewood and see who that kid was. That was always my mindset. And that's what I was coached, and that's what I was told by the older guys. Hey man, look, you better represent the wood. You better represent the wood. Keep our reputation, like it is. My
old mindset was, I'm gonna beat whoever in front of me.
Yeah, right.
Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna stop me. You're not gonna hold me.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can do but just watch the show.
Right. Yeah. No, and man,
you have to have that mindset though.
Man.
You have to have that mindset.
Right. Yeah. Man, we had guys. I didn't even realize, man, after I talked to some guy, man, they up in the stands betting on football and basketball and high school game on how many yards Smitty going. Is he going to break on this play? Is he going to score in this? How many touchdowns he going to get in this game, or how many points? Cats doing crazy stuff, man. I'd be like, man, don't be putting that on me. But hey, I'm gonna just make sure I'm gonna deliver though, But that's the thing, man. Like you said, the brutal truth about recruiting. Like you said, some of these kids aren't humble, and they're gonna have to learn.
And they're not all that good.
Yeah,
a lot of them not all that good.
Well, whether they're good. Yeah, but whether they,
said,
yeah,
you okay, but you not.
Yeah,
you not.
You got to stand. You got to stand. You're gonna have to learn how to stand out. You can't just be the average guy out there on that football field. when they look at that video, they gotta see a man amongst boys.
Yes.
A man amongst boys. And see me, with my size, a lot of people used to trip out because I wasn't that 200-pound back. But look here, Pierce, you know, I prided myself running between the guards, running between the tackles. I love this is the thing that me, even though I was a little smaller guy, but I knew I had to put that time in the weight room, build my shoulders, all those different things up. But I love running the ball inside because I'm gonna get you. Because I knew how to hit that hole. I knew how to make my reads right on the move. I knew how to make the reads on the move and adjust. You know, you got to have some good vision. That wasn't, you know, my thing. My dad used to tell me that. He's like, man, you got to watch Gale Sayers. You got to watch Walter Payton. Those guys have vision. They see the play. They see the play before it happened. You know.
And the thing is I can tell you from all my years, man, the 30-something years of watching and playing, and coaching high school football, man. I'm telling you, it's only maybe one or two kids, three maybe, that I can tell you that they were definitely the best player on the field.
Yeah.
The best player, and these were when they were freshmen.
Yeah.
Playing varsity sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can tell you one kid, and you know, his name was from Iowa, kid in Iowa.
Yeah.
Jack Wager. Jack Wager, his brother was Brandon Wager, who was a high school phenom.
Yeah.
Went to Iowa. But his little brother, as a freshman, it's the first time I've seen a kid in the Midwest have talent like that. Every time he touched the ball, he could literally score. Every time. It wasn't he get tackled and fall down, and then he may break away once in a while. Every single time. Running
hard. Yeah.
Yes. That is, and look, he still got highlights out there somewhere. You Google Jack Wager. From Healing Bishop. You know what I'm saying? His highlights come up and you can see it. You know what I'm saying, for yourself. And I tell you, it's like everybody's not gifted like that.
No.
Got some who are, but
some people you gotta work at it. You can eventually you can get there if you're willing to put the work in. But like we're saying about this, about this recruiting, man, the brutal truth is you gotta be humble, you gotta prepare. As you're saying too, also about some of these guys got to be humble. If you haven't gotten any offers yet, like I was DMing a kid last night that's right here in Texas, and I'm like, hey man, what offers do you have? And JUCO and something. I'm like, and I told one kid, I said, man, because I saw where he had this kid was at a I don't know if he was at an FCS school or a D2 school, and he put himself in the portal. I think he still got like 3 years. Because he redshirted at the school, and I'm looking at his Twitter, his X account. He got D3 offers. I said, now my question is, I put out some guy, and they put these offers out there because sometimes I tell them, I said, look, here's a nugget for y'all. Y'all listening out here while we talking? I am not. I told my son, don't you dare put a Division III offer out there on your X account, on your Twitter account, like you. What you do is you DM that coach and you thank him because you do appreciate the offer, But if you feel like you a baller, I ain't happy about a D3 offer. I ain't happy about no Division III offer.
Thank you.
I am not happy. I'm just okay with a D2 offer. You should be. Man, you should be 30. You should be 38 hot about a D3 offer that don't give scholarships, that still might cost you money. You know what I mean? Still might cost you money. So really,
in reality, somebody's looking at your game film talking about you're not good enough to play. But we'll take it to D3. Right. Or even if they even looked at it, they may not even had time to look at it because they've had so many other people that just stood out, to them. But somebody's gonna look at it. Grad students, somebody's gonna look at it and determine whether they need to take a chance because they use a lot of these grad students. And here's the other thing we try to educate people on recruiting that some of these people don't realize.
Coaches don't have time to look at all that. A grad student who's trying to come up and get paid for coaching because they put in grunt work, they're the ones that are looking at the video footage. And before he go pass it on to the position coach who has to pass it on to the DC or the OC, right? So it has to go through a grad student first, a GA. Then in the hand, they gotta like it. And then after it goes through a GA, it got to go to the position coach. Yep. And then if the position coach like it, then it might go to the OC or the DC. And then the DC, if he likes it, then it can go to possibly get to the head coach. Or and sometimes even before it get to the head coach, they're gonna tell you're gonna need to come to a camp. Ryan Day recruited my son, and when he came and saw little Jeff throw the ball at practice, pulled him over from baseball practice. He came over for spring, because I told the baseball coach, because that's another thing I try to tell people. I made sure I communicate. What I first did, I told my son, go communicate to the baseball coach that because you're playing football as well, and this time of the year is when a lot of college football recruiters come to see. So you need to get to practice early. You ain't got time to talk to nobody in the hallway. You ain't got time to talk to nobody in the hallway. Only thing you got time for is to get that turkey wrap that your mom made for you so you can have something to eat because you eat lunch so early so you can think and focus so you ain't hangry out there on the football field. Yep. Get that turkey wrap and cheese on the way to the locker room to go get the baseball practice to get your hitting in and get your throwing in because you were a pitcher as well. Hurry up and get that done and get yourself over to practice. But you need to make sure you as a player communicate to the baseball coach or basketball, whatever it is that you got to get to football, right? Because I said you need to play more than one sport and you're going to play more than one sport. But I made a point to let him know you got to communicate with coaches. You growing up, and he did. I said, but you got to get there. You don't have time to waste talking to, because you're going places right now with what you're doing with this. They're going places too, but it may not be the same, in the same, direction. But y'all all going places, but you got to do this. So, he communicated with baseball coach. He got over there. I say, let him know you're not doing contact stuff right now because you're still in baseball season, but you got to get over there and throw the ball. And these coaches are coming to school to see you. They're coming and asking about you, And so when Ryan Day came, Ohio State coach, when he was at the OC at Boston College, and Coach Fitzpatrick, the quarterback coach, because Coach Fitzpatrick used to coach at USF, South Florida, so he knew the area. He was the recruiter that took Jeff's name back to Ryan Day, the OC. So he's like, man, I really like this kid. Coach Fitzpatrick, he said, I really like this kid. Told Coach Day, we need to go down to Florida, because these kids are getting close to committing or whatever. We need to get our offer out. And we need to really consider this kid. He needs to be high on our list. And he was. And they came. Coach Day and Fitzpatrick showed up at practice. He came out there, threw the ball to my nephew, his cousin, who was a receiver DB. Took him through some different throwings from one hash mark to the opposite hash mark, throwing dimes, just, looking good. And, they said, hey, Coach Ryan Day talked to, they pulled him over and talked to him, because, hey, you're recruiting him. Then you're recruiting mom and dad after that, right? So they pulled him over and said what they said and then brought me in, because I was a coach, there at the school as well. And then they came and talked to me. And it gave me an upper hand as being a coach and being able to talk to these guys or whatever. But I did it for other kids as well, not just my own. But, after they spoke to him about how much they like to work out and seeing him and everything, and they'll be in touch because they were going up the road to Atlanta or Georgia somewhere to see another quarterback, right? So, I was like, okay, cool. I just said, I said, I'm sure he impressed you. He showed you what how good he is with his accuracy and throwing the ball and how strong his arm is. And they're like, oh yeah, we really, I can see the look on Coach Day's face. Like he was thoroughly like, oh dang, this kid can throw the ball. And so they just say, hey, yeah, we'll be in contact. We got to get up the road to Atlanta. Hey, bro. About 2-3 hours later, while they were on the road to Georgia to see whoever they were going to see, because they said they were going to wait. They said they were going to wait to offer him later, maybe possibly later. They called him later that same day, 2-3 hours later on their drive to Georgia, and offered him. Coach Day called him. He came in the room. He came in the kitchen. I think we were in the kitchen. Me and my wife was in the kitchen, and his phone rang, and he's like, Dad, Coach Dayton on the phone. They want to offer me. So they had time while they were driving to Georgia to talk about what they just saw this young man do. Look what little Jeff did, And so, but so after that offer came, right? That was like his, his first big offer was Wisconsin, but it wasn't at quarterback. But BC was his first big offer as a quarterback. It was his first big Power 5 offer as a quarterback. And then other people start, more attention, definitely start coming, whatnot. I mean, he had all the FCS schools interested that came, a bunch of them came to visit. It was always, hey, man, Coach, we know he's a Power 5 kid, but if it don't work out, just, hey, consider us, like, oh, well, yeah, absolutely. We ain't too good to consider, not to consider. Things happen, you know what I'm saying? Things happen, man. You never want to, you don't want to tear down, a bridge. But the thing was, after that offer came, it was like, well, Coach, we got to get the official approval and buy-in from the head coach. So we're going to need you to come to football camp. I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. No doubt. I'm like, and I told my son, but that's who you show love to schools who showing love to you. I'm like, of course he gonna be at y'all camp. You know what I'm saying? He gonna be on a plane, whether I gotta come with him or not. He gonna be on a plane coming to Boston College for camp because y'all offered him his first Power 5 offer at quarterback. He gonna be there. We gonna definitely, And I remember I had taken Jeff that summer after his junior year to Purdue because they were interested. Who else? Indiana was very interested. We went to Iowa State. We went to Wisconsin. Even though they gave him as a DB, we still just wanted to visit because they gave him his first Power 5 offer. No matter what, it was his first. So I'm gonna show love. We ain't gonna disrespect nobody. So they give you your first Power 5 offer, even though it wasn't at quarterback. We gonna show love to folks, right? You got to know how to play the game. So, and Coach Aranda, I think he still may be the head coach at Baylor right now, but he was a DC. At Wisconsin at the time, and building his name. And Coach Aranda was awesome, man, real nice gentleman. I liked him as a coach. And Jeff was even saying, like, we saw Wisconsin facilities, and little Jeff was like, dang, bro, look, I was ready to go try to play again after I saw that Wisconsin facilities, man, and how nice the town was, and everything. So, and so while we were doing that recruiting trip, right? My head coach back home called me saying, "Hey man, Coach Adazio is saying out there in the recruiting world that you got little Jeff at all these other places, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, Coach." He said, "I understand, but Coach Adazio is just concerned that, hey, you're taking him all these other places, and you said you were going to bring him to Boston College. But now, mind you, we were only doing 1-day camps at all these other places, 1-day camps.
Right.
But the Boston College camp, he was going to do 3-4 days, So I was making a point that he was going to spend more time at Boston College than he was at these other places that, some gave QB offers, some of them didn't. So I only committed to doing 1 day. Iowa State was interested in him as a quarterback as well. So, but we still did 1 day because they hadn't offered at the time. So we only did 1-day camps. And so I had to call, Coach Adazio, the head coach at BC, and let him know. I said, Coach, and I broke it down to him. I said, Coach, you know how this thing is, man. These coaches, they offer them. I'm going to show love to people who show my son love, and we're going to do camps. I said, but Coach, we only doing 1-day camps. I said, but when he come to Boston College, he coming to you for 3-4 days. You get him longer than anybody. He's like, hey, go ahead, do your thing then. Do your thing. Do your tour. I said, you know how this thing works. We got to do a tour. He got to have something. The other thing was, I wanted to give Jeff something to compare Boston College to when he got to Boston College, right? Yeah, you go to all these other places and you go to Wisconsin, man, lovely facilities, man, up under the stadium, dog. I mean, bro, crazy stuff, man. I mean, laid out the red carpet, man. Same thing, Indiana, man. Loved the coach that was there at the time and everything. Loved the players, man. I mean, Jeff even got out there to throw the ball with the kids while they were practicing, man. Some of the kids, they were like, they're like, this the cat that might be coming in up here, So he got to rub elbows with actual college players at Indiana and other, I don't think we did that anywhere else. I think it was just Indiana that was their practicing that he got to throw the ball with. And so that was cool. That was just a cool experience, right? But as I've always told him, preparation. He always Coach Kaleo that played at Maryland with Bowl and Mark Moore that played with us. Was his quarterback coach that prepared him well, and his high school coach prepared him well. So his preparation, man, opportunity, when it met, he was ready. He was ready. And so when he got to Boston College for them 3 or 4 days, bro, look, they were excited. That offer stayed on the table because sometimes offers can get pulled, right? But that offer stayed and remained, because when he went to camp and did what he did, it was all she wrote, right? And so that's what these kids got to understand, man. Granted, one thing that was refreshing, this kid that's in the area here in Texas was on Ocho Cinco, Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco show Nightcap. And it was refreshing to hear the young man say, he's a junior. He's a rising senior. He just committed right now as a junior to Oklahoma. And they're like, man, you ain't going to stay in Texas? And he's like, they must be giving you some NIL. They must have gave you some crazy NIL money. He's like, no. He told me, he said, no, man, my grandparents raised me, man, different than that, man. I want to make sure that whatever NIL money is offered me, whatever they offer me, I want to make sure I show that I want to earn it. This young man said, I'm gonna show him I'm gonna earn my NIL offer. He's like, I'm not getting into all this negotiating stuff. I let these schools just do all that. But he said, I'm not going. My grandparents like, don't be just running for the money. Don't just run. He said, I'm blessed to have my grandparents in my life who are very influential in his life. And he said, man, my granddad was like, man, don't be running for the money. I'm not saying don't try to get the money or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But don't just.
Well, the thing is don't make that the sole basis of what you're doing.
Right.
Because when you go chase that bag, like we know, I got 2 signed already who went and chased that bag.
Yeah.
And the bag wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, hey, but even if the bag is there, expectations for you when you come in. See, that's the thing when cats don't realize.
That's true.
When you go, it's the expectation that you got to fulfill. Man, look here, when you play that game of the negotiating on who gonna give me the most NIL, and you took that school through the mill before you decided to come to them, now they gonna hold you to a higher standard. The preparation better be where it's supposed to be for this money that we're paying you. And some of you, and here's the thing, some of them can't handle that pressure. They don't realize the pressure that come along with that.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. The brutal truth about recruiting that we're trying to tell you all. Expectations, when you get that money, man, these folks' lives these are grown adults that's been in this game for years, that their lives are on the line at these colleges and universities. And you're a high school kid. You remember with your cousin playing NBA? Kenny Anderson playing NBA. Because Kenny could have came out of high school possibly. Where he go to Georgia Tech 1 year, 2 years? What was it 1 year?
He went 2.
I was gonna say I thought it was 2.
He wasn't to go that first year, but they told me no. He said don't go.
Yeah.
Because he could be the number 1.
The number 1 pick, right. So that's why I know it wasn't all 4 years. I knew it had to be like 1 or 2 years, and that's my point where we're trying to help these kids understand. And you remember?
Huh? He could have came out after his freshman year.
Yeah.
But he would have left more money on the table.
Right. But aside from that though, the point is, no matter if you left money on the table, the money you still was about to make was life-changing money.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Legacy money, right? And you remember during the time the league was getting these kids out of high school, some of these kids right out of high school, right? Which I ain't got nothing against that, bro. Go get it when you can get it to help take care of your family. Get it. But here's the thing: we look at Dwight Howard having an issue just popped up on social media with Dwight Howard coming out of high school. Some of that stuff, man, can mess you up if you don't really have a good support system.
That's right.
If you don't really have a good support system with some wisdom and discernment on some of this stuff, some of these kids don't realize that these are grown adults, jobs and livelihoods on the line, and they are going to hold you to a standard you probably have never been here. This ain't high school football. This is not high school football. These are billion-dollar industries, corporations, right?
That's right.
LeBron is he's one of one. Michael Jordan, they one of one. But LeBron came out of high school. Kareem came out of high school. Darryl Dawkins came out of high school. Moses Malone came out of high school. And they all had their hiccups, but they had long careers. Like LeBron had long careers. But some of these kids, man, now with this NIL, this is what we're saying. This is why. That's why I said, man, if somebody wanted me to represent them, I'm gonna sit down and have a conversation with parents and make sure this kid got a strong support system, and also help them understand. You got to understand the expectation that's on you right now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The expectation that's on you when you making this kind of NIL money is.
And when you get that big money, when you get that big bag, they expect you to take them to a national championship.
Yeah, yeah.
They do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's why they paying all
That's
the
what
money.
I'm saying. Or at least get to a decent bowl game. But get in the playoffs. That's what you said. But get in the playoff berth. And don't think that's why they didn't extend it, because they know there need to be more teams in the playoffs, right? Like D2 have 16. I think they still take 16, top 16. That's what it should be. I think they're gonna eventually do that because of the money that's being made in this game.
That's right.
But the expectation, man, that's on you as a young man, you don't have anything to compare to coming out of high school. Nothing. Because you ain't made this kind of money when you were in high school.
That's true.
You ain't made this kind of money. The only person I can say that may have made, could understand some of the expectations is LeBron. Because I don't think LeBron played too many high school games. I need to Google that. How many high school games did LeBron play in his career? Because the stadiums, the city was making so much money off LeBron, they moved the games to the convention center, to the Coliseum. His high school games.
That's right.
Because you had every TV network that was following him because they knew he was going to be the first draft pick. People even had the audacity to sit up here and say, he may be breaking NCAA rules by his mom getting a Hummer. Man, he ain't going to college. What you talking about? He ain't breaking no NCAA rules. What rule? He ain't going to college.
That's right.
And people talk about you got to be careful because that could be an NCAA violation. It ain't an NBA violation because that's where you're going. Right. So he probably understood to some capacity the expectation that was put on him at an early age in high school because of where they played some of his high school games. I need to go, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, where some of his high school games, man, weren't even played at his high school. They weren't even.
Because he was on a grand stage, man.
Yeah, right. In high school, man, he was already it.
Because I remember when Kenny was in high school, man, it was they come out the woodwork to come see him.
Yeah.
Even in the park, when he was in the park,
right,
playing, Rutgers, man, it'd be
right. That's what I'm saying. And you got reporters and all this, media. LeBron had media every high school game. He had was a show, right? Was a show. Once all that stuff started. So that's what I'm saying. These kids got to understand you need somebody to try to help navigate that for you, help you navigate, because it can be stressful. I realized how stressful it was on little Jeff when he started getting offers in high school to go play college ball. I remember him saying, Dad, when I'm going to get my offers? I say, son, let me tell you something. They coming. Just prepare yourself so when it does come, it ain't as stressful because he right. But I could tell at some point you trying to figure it out. It was stressful. I'm like, but because you had a good supporting cast with family around you, mom and dad, of course, your uncles, right? Your grandmothers,
Coach Smith, one of the things too that these kids they forget about, they get swept up and caught up in all these offers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they forget to make sure that the school and the team and the situation is going to fit them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
They just jump in, and I think that's why a lot of these kids are wind up, getting there and then finding out that this is not a system that I can play in.
It's not what I thought. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Right. But even in that, it's like we end up going. We had to take what we got, and because
we had to make the best of it. We had to adapt to whatever situation we got.
Right. I didn't have 5. I didn't get to do the 5 visits like I thought I was going to get when I was getting recruited. I could have had that, but I didn't get the 5 visits to go check out stuff. One trip to Morningside, that was it, brother. You stayed. Lock it down. That's it. You don't have no other choices. I ain't have nothing to compare nothing to. So that's how that's how we rolled. That's how we rolled different because how we were raised. It was like bro, you better take what you better take what you can get right now, because right now you ain't got no choice. You ain't got too many choices. And I had to humble myself because I'm like, because I know personally about waiting, and I lost my full scholarship, and it went down to 75% football, and then 25, and then I ain't gonna say I got 25%. I got some track money, so I got a little bit of track money, and I got 75% football money, and then I had to come out of my pocket my first year where I got a loan, for like 10,000, between sub and unsub and all that stuff. But to pay my bill, my stuff. I got student loan to help take care of it. I got a student loan, federal loan, and then I got the Perkins loan because they had a Perkins loan, federal Perkins loan program they don't do anymore. So between those three loans, it took care of me taking care of my balance. That's why I said my mom doesn't even know what my cost. So when I graduated and had that loan, I had to pay that federal loan. I paid it back. My mom didn't pay that back. I paid that back. Still, and she didn't learn about that until I got graduated. Like, you got loan money? I said, Mom, don't worry about it. I got it. Because I waited, and Coach Lovett was trying to tell me, Jeff, I need you to tell me about a certain time. He said, I know. He's like, I know you had your heart was set on Division I. I know you had coaches, and I know your high school coach has hurt you more than anything than helping you. And I know you come from a good family. I know you're not a bad kid. And I don't understand why your coach would do your brother like that when I recruited him. Because hear your father dying from cancer. Man don't even know anything about. He don't know anything about that. He ain't even He's not even connected with his players to know that my dad was sick and dying from cancer as a head football coach. No, where does a high school coach who care about his kids not know what's going on, or taking time to know what's going on with his players when you got one of your players got a father that's dying from cancer?
That's true.
And you got the audacity to tell teams, as opposed to you got Ole Miss and Michigan State that want him, and he's the top safety in the state with 9 interceptions. And he don't make the first team All-State. He's second team All-State and leading the state in interceptions, and you second team All-State because you don't go to meetings.
That's crazy.
And fight for your kids. There are coaches that you played against that said, we can't have this kid not be on the list, and he led the state in interceptions. We're gonna be looking crazy. I know his coach ain't here to speak on his behalf, but we better make it right. They should have just put him first team, because he led the state, but I think it was second team. That was his junior year. I don't even think that was his senior year. But you as a head coach, you got the audacity to want to sit up here and lie to schools, and you don't even know that your player got a dad that's dying from cancer.
Exactly. That's crazy.
And you want to make it seem like he's a problem kid. That coach ain't never have no problems during the time my brother played. I was a ball boy. When Todd was on JV and varsity, I was in middle school. And when I got to the high school, I was in 9th grade. He was a senior. Man, I traveled on the bus with varsity. When Todd was on JV and I was at the middle school down the street, I would run from track practice, bro, to get over to football practice at his JV practice so I could watch, bro. I mean, this is how much I love the game. I would get over because I wanted to see my brother play. You know what I mean? And when they played JV games, bro, I didn't even go home, bro. I ran down the street, and I'm literally, we had this one road that cut through the neighborhood to get you from the middle school to the high school, right? And a lot of my homeboys that I grew up with, their brothers were older, and they played. They all played. Our older brothers played together. So we all get on our bikes or whatever we do, man. Hit over there to the high school so we can see our brothers. A lot of times I'd be by myself because they knew Jeff being crazy about football. Boy, this boy crazy about football. So as a kid, man, I would be the towel boy, the water boy. I'd be on the sideline. I ain't paid to get in no games when I was a kid. I'm like, I'm the water boy. Boy, I love riding that bus. And I used to argue with my dad. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm gonna go to the school, and you meet us at the game. I'm getting on the bus with big brother, with my big brother, man. So my brother used to be like, boy, why you always riding the bus? I'm like, I'm the water boy squirting that water in y'all mouth over the sideline. But I loved it. I love that, man, watching my big brother, my older brother, man, Todd play ball and being that water boy, man, and being in that game, man, just learning, soaking it up, man, and watching the running backs, because Todd was a receiver DB. But just watching it, and then when he got on varsity, they always get, in varsity, they would get the JV boys to do the the lines, the what they call you be that, but I'm talking about during the games, you had to hold the first down markers. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You had to do the dirty work as JV players. You had to come there and make sure you took care of the varsity players, bring the equipment on, chain gang. You had to do that stuff. But a lot of times I would ride the bus.
When we was little, like when we was at Parks and Rec, man, we would always try to figure out what's going on. Like at halftime when the team would go into the locker room,
right.
We would like, oh man, they had a secret meeting.
You are right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you don't know, you know what I'm saying, how the game goes and how everything works. It's like a mystery, and so we were waiting so bad until we got the opportunity
to get your turn.
To
get your turn.
And I still remember the first time, the first game we went to it, and we went in a halftime for halftime. And that's when we figured out what was going on. But you're right though. I mean, I used to be in the thick of it, man. Like I said, because I was a water boy and I would ride the bus, but this is what I'm saying, like. I thought, and even my brother thought, and other players, that they had a good relationship with the head coach, because nobody never really got in no trouble. Like, not just normal. You got a normal stuff, whatever, but nobody had bad grades like that. Nobody was. We didn't have no Prop 48. We didn't really have no Prop 48 issues with kids coming out of our high school. It wasn't that kind of issue that we had. But you would have thought the way this coach was talking to scouts, man, it was like. So that's why I'm saying you got to have a good supporting cast, man. But like you said, like going back to what we're saying about being humble and the expectations with this NIL stuff, man. Some of these, like you said, another thing you just shared, you may choose to go to a place where you really like end up realize like, man, this ain't really where I want to be. There might have been some places you want to be, but because these people offer you more money, you say, well, I'm gonna go this route. I think that's what a lot of these kids are doing, man. They're going these places, man. And
they don't work out. They don't work out.
For money, that's why they're going, and they're going for the wrong reason. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, and then
when it doesn't work out, and the adult in the room, right?
Yes.
That coach, head coach, position coach, DC, OC, whoever it is, now telling you we don't think it's gonna work out. So you might want to go on the portal. And how you as a young man, if you haven't been really trained, and you can only train so much, but just prepare him. I try to do, tell little Jeff as much as possible. I'm like, look, man, you ain't gonna like everything about it. I said, but because you love the game and the preparation, learn to love the preparation part of the game. Learn, be a student. Like my dad told me, be a student of the game. He's like, when you learn to be a student of something, you'll learn to, love it better. And you'll understand that I don't have to like everything about it. Just because I love the game don't mean I like everything. I like most things. I love most things about the game. But there are some things you're not going to necessarily like. But man, when you get through training camp and it's time for the season to start, and you made it, and you made that final cut or whatever, man, and it's like, oh shoot, man, this is what it's all about, man.
But you know what, the thing I can honestly say, man, I think when we were, although we didn't have the NIL money and all that stuff, man, I think we generally had fun,
right?
And I think we genuinely,
we had fun.
Enjoyed the game because we didn't have
all the money stuff.
All the money and the craziness of it being a business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so we were able to grow up as and enjoy it like young men in college should be able to do, experience.
But I'm telling you, even when I got to college, I realized how much of a business it was, even in D2 ball. And we weren't that good starting out, but you still saw the business side of what was happening. And one thing people used to win. But one thing people used to always say is, and I remember older guys used to say this, keep that kid like love for the game. When all this other stuff start coming involved with it, you got to maintain that childhood love that you've always had about the game, the camaraderie with the guys, right? The you know, the hanging out, the relationships, right? With the even with some coaches that you build a relationship with, but definitely your teammates, you know, and different places you got to go visit and things of that nature, man. It's nothing like you know, those opportunities, man, and connections that you get to, you know, make and build. And so that's why, you know, like we're saying, you know, our main thing, like we did say, while we really on here is like why National Junior College Prep Football League is a great option with all this stuff that we're talking about, the brutal things of recruiting or in recruiting, sports and college sports recruiting. Let me say that right. The brutal truth in college sports recruiting is what we've been talking about. You know, kids got to stay humble. The high expectations when you start dealing with this billions of dollars that people are paying you, everybody can't handle it. You know, you could potentially handle it if you got good people around you, right? Just leading you, and you know, like as far as my faith is concerned, I tell people, man, you know, much counsel. That's what the word says. Get much counsel. But you know what? Don't just get much counsel. Be sure you're getting counsel from somebody that know what they're talking about, that's been there, that played the game and had opportunity. You know, and National Junior College Prep, man, is going to be is gearing itself, mission and vision to help these kids in those areas. Like we're here to mentor, we're here to develop, coach. Not just like Dion, man. It hurt me, man. I just heard this the other day. My wife told me I've been so out of the loop because I have being a PE coach with elementary, you're up early, you get connected with your kids, and I haven't really been watching sports much. But the quarterback that Dion lost, the guy killed in that car accident. Stuff like things like that, man. Is man, it's you got to have a good supporting cast, man. These players got to understand, man, with this recruiting and all that stuff. And you don't want to just have anybody leading you and guiding you down this road and telling you, no, man, we need to take this money and I know people intentions mean well. People have good intentions, and some people don't have good intentions. A lot of people even if it's a family, even if it's a family member, everybody don't have good intentions. Everybody got a hidden agenda. Right. And then you got to be careful of, you got to respect your mom and dad, as much as possible as well, and don't get to the point where you're lying like, oh, this is about me. And all right, don't forget now, it's mom and daddy that pay for them cliques and all them other things. You listen to them. They may not necessarily. Yeah, they may not necessarily be, know everything about the sport and know what they're talking about. But they know about life lessons, whatnot. And they may be telling you, don't chase the money, or they might be chasing the money. Y'all gotta find. That's why we do this. That's why we do what we do. I'm coming on here right now. That's why I don't understand why my YouTube channel hadn't blown up yet. It's growing, but the things that we talk about and discuss, man, like we talk about real stuff. Real things, and like I said, when we start the season, we gonna bring some players on here and have them talk about their experiences. Hey man, talk about the good and bad, all the experience. Hey, tell the truth, because we're gonna be on you, right? We ain't making this easy. We're trying to prepare you for, like you said, whether you're a star at Division I ball or not, it's pressure. It's pressure. And you got to be able to handle that pressure. My son will tell you, hey, he wasn't a star, but he was one of the star players on his team, And I think we did, as parents, we did a pretty good job. In my experience, I think we did a pretty good job. I think he did a pretty good job as well. And I always tell parents, you got to have some other adults that you trust to be able to speak into your kids' lives, that you trust. That when you're not around, that they're going to get some good advice from somebody. I know Coach Kaleo, his quarterback coach, would give him some good advice about not just quarterback, but just about life, period, playing the game, how to prepare, all that stuff. I know Coach Davis back at Clearwater Central Catholic, back at CCC, Coach Man Wisdom, been around 30-something plus years coaching high school ball back in Florida. You know what I mean? So this is what we're all about, man, trying to help guide these kids. And that's where NJCP, National Junior College Prep Football League, that's why you guys got to get to these tryout camps. And like we said early in the show, it ain't just about it. Let me just let y'all know, this is Coach Smith with Love the Game 24/7 on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on IG on Coach Smith 27 right now with Coach Pearson. of the Carolina Lightning. I think I got that right, Carolina Lightning.
Yeah.
In the NJCP, and I'm Coach Smith with the Dallas Stampede. And he's trying to get kids in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia area, wherever they're from. I'm trying to get them from Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, wherever you're from, as close as possible to get you guys to these trial camps. I got one coming up this weekend. If you're listening to this live, or if you listen to the recording and you're from the Texas area, Oklahoma, you need to get signed up this weekend so we can put eyes on you, because we're trying to help develop you, right, to be good, solid young men and understand how to handle this pressure of major college sports, because it's a business, but it also can be fun and rewarding to you, and get your education paid for, and open up doors, not just in sports or in your sport, but life after sports as well. So I just want to say that, Coach.
And the thing is also too, I just want to add on to that too. You know what? You don't have to chase the bag. If you do what you're supposed to do, you put in the work, the money's gonna come. The bag
gonna chase you. Exactly.
The bag gonna chase you.
The bag gonna chase you. Exactly, bro. Yeah. You ain't gotta chase the bag. Chase preparation, being ready, do all that stuff, man. The bag gonna chase you. Yeah, it'll run you down.
And that's why
a good point.
NJCP is so important for you guys to get into this league and get into our program, man, so we can help you and teach you how to prepare yourself so you don't have to chase the bag, and the bag can chase you.
Yeah, and I see I got
help put you in a situation that you can be successful in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, things happen, we understand that, right?
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for you to have that second chance.
Yeah.
That second opportunity.
Yeah.
So we just want you to make the best of it. We truly care about, you athletes and what you're doing. Because trust me, Coach Smith, myself, we don't have to do this. But this is something we love to do. And we want to give back, and we want to help individuals, have these opportunities, man. Because there's so many out there who, for whatever reason it may be, for whatever reason you missed that small window.
Yeah.
But now you got with NJCP, you got a second opportunity, a second chance.
Yeah.
And you got some good people here to help you navigate through this craziness, man, and come out on top. So take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I have a young man, Harvey Blank 22, giving me a shout out on my YouTube live. Appreciate it. I just sent him awesome. If you got any questions, Harvey, if you're still on, appreciate you joining. I know we may have some folks that had jumped on. A few people jumped on, but like I said, whether they watch it live or the video, I hope they get this message, man. Be sure you hit that subscribe button that you see there on YouTube. Subscribe to Coach. Share this information, man, with other people. Get other people watching this and get the word and get the information out there. Same thing on IG with Coach Smith 27. Share it. You should be getting this information, man. And folks, when we pop up, when you see us come live, and I put a message out there that we're going live, you should be sharing it with somebody that wants to play ball or needs some guidance, whether they're trying to get to college, or the high school or pro ball, or no matter. We're here to give some good insight. That's what we're all about, and so we're excited about doing it. And so, but I ain't gonna keep you too much longer, brother. We're gonna get on off this thing.
All right.
But I appreciate you jumping on and joining me for a little bit here. And
so your camp is coming up on the 14th, right?
Yeah, this weekend, this Saturday, early, man. Early check-in, 7:30 to 8:05. I got my other coaches that's gonna be in here. Ernest Gibbons gonna be here. Anthony Gibbons, his brother, who I grew up with, gonna be here in town. Coach Hughes, we're gonna be here, man. We want you guys to come on out and get worked out. Like you said, get evaluated. Let you know what you need to do to get prepared, and come on and join this league so we can get you, help you, your path, continue your path towards playing some major college football and getting that education, and maybe get some NIL. We ain't against that. We want you to get some NIL too. We want to help develop you so you can, so you can get all that you can. But we want to be sure that you're mentally ready for all that, and that your game is ready for all that. But more than anything, we want to be sure you're mentally ready for all that when that opportunity knocks at your door, right? And so, but that's about it, man. So I appreciate my boy getting on with me. We, like I said, you got another camp coming up as well.
Yes, my camp will be on March 21st, Saturday, March 21st,
yeah,
in North Carolina. So just get on the NJCP website and hey, sign up.
Yeah,
we'll start at 10 a.m. We usually run from 10 a.m. to 1.
Okay, gotcha. And that's the thing too. I'm planning on when I go home. I'm going home. I got my camp this Saturday, and then I'm going home. Got to see mom. I ain't been home in a minute to see mom, so I'm gonna see mom. But I'm gonna try. My plan is there's some guys I've been in contact with in Florida that want me to take a look at. Yeah, work them out. So that's another opportunity for my Florida kids that want to get get a workout. So I'll be doing that too. But like we said, we got jobs and we got housing for our players wherever they're located and playing for our 18 teams in the league. We got all that stuff set up. So we're getting all those things squared away for you guys that are coming to this league, and we're also going to help you with the recruiting. So, but so
there's no excuse.
No excuses. Yeah.
Why you should be in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
in our league,
excuse you got, we got an answer for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
We got 18 teams somewhere near you. Yeah, don't miss your opportunity to get better, to get developed.
There you go.
Yeah, and get out that transfer portal. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, big dog. We'll talk, man. We're gonna get off this live. Right. We're gonna end.
God bless you.
Yeah, bro.
You guys have a good week.
Yeah. Have a good week.